I'm Rob Van Rapport. Welcome to MBANow. Well, Congress has just passed a massive COVID-19 relief package and another stimulus. Now, this is all on the heels of President-elect Joe Biden getting ready to take office. With us to discuss it all is our head lobbyist, Bill Killmer. Bill, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Rob. Happy to be here with you today and to talk through these issues with you.
So, Bill, let's first talk about what Congress has just passed. What is it going to mean for consumers and for our industry?
Well, really, it's the culmination of months of effort. Rob, as you'll recall, the CARES Act, which was a bipartisan, almost consensus package, which was a couple $1 trillion of relief, passed in late March. And there's been conversation about another big package ever since. And there's really something in this package, not only for public health and safety needs, but trying to stem economic impacts. And really for every aspect of real estate finance, there's a little bit of something, much of which MBA has been an advocate for really since late March and April in some instances. Rental assistance, which will be administered, federal resources, but administered through the states, $25 billion in a tranche of rental assistance money. There's a continuation briefly of the eviction moratorium through the end of January. The rental assistance will run through the end of 2021. There's also relief, really important for our commercial multifamily members, for troubled debt restructuring that was available to depositories. That's now been expanded to include eligibility for life insurance companies as well, something MBA fought for. That's been extended for another year. There's relief from the CECL accounting standard for depositories that'll run another year. Some tax extenders that are real estate related with respect to mortgage debt forgiveness and the deductibility of mortgage insurance premiums as part of the package. And, because it's a combined budget and appropriations omnibus bill as well, Rob, HUD is fully funded through the fiscal year 2021, some really important monies and resources there, $20 million for an ongoing investment in information technology infrastructure for FHA on the single family system side, money in there for commitment authority for FHA multifamily programs, and really importantly, a real injection of adequate commitment authority for Ginnie Mae to be able to securitize the government housing program mortgages that are securitized through Ginnie Mae adequately into this fiscal year. So there's a lot for us to like in this package. It's good for the overall economy. And not to continue to filibuster, Rob, but not the least of which is unemployment insurance benefits, $300 a week as opposed to that $600 a week increase that we saw flowing out of the CARES Act. But that'll be an extension of those UI benefits into April, and also direct stimulus checks again for folks that are eligible under $75,000 annual adjusted gross income or $150,000 if you file jointly. They'll be getting $600 checks, per individual as another form of income support. So a lot to help pay the rent, a lot to help for people to help pay their mortgages, and some really important policy themes there, looking forward into the next year.
So, Bill, let's shift to the administration. President-elect Biden will be coming into office shortly, and we can expect a lot of changes both at Treasury as well as HUD. What are we anticipating?
Yeah, well, there's the old adage, Rob, that personnel is policy, and we've seen that the Biden-Harris transition team has signaled they're going to nominate Janet Yellen to be Treasury Secretary, first woman to ever be nominated, a former Fed chairman, first time that's ever happened, somebody who's respected on both sides of the aisle. So in terms of helping the president and vice president manage the economy, that's certainly a seasoned veteran and someone that MBA is familiar with from her past public service. You've seen Congresswoman Marcia Fudge from Ohio, who's been tabbed to be the new HUD secretary. She was strongly supported by many of the Democrats in the Congressional Black Caucus that made her kind of a consensus candidate. And I think she'll be drawing on help from a lot of her colleagues on the Hill that have worked in a focused way on housing issues, Congresswoman Fudge has not yet to this point in her career, but I think the sub-cabinet appointments, FHA and deputy secretary, and a lot of those are going to be a really key to her success. Interestingly, Rob, because she's a sitting member of the House and margins in the House declined for Democrats, the Biden transition team has signaled that they're not going to be sending her nomination forward until March so that she can be part of the first 100 days of a legislative agenda that they're going to advance. And by the way, I think that agenda is going to be COVID, very focused on COVID, whatever work remains to be done, economic impacts and implementation of the vaccine coming out of the gate.
So, Bill, beyond the personnel, what can we expect in terms of the policies that this administration is going to want to address?
Yeah, I think in contrast to the last 4 years, Rob, we're going to see a shift from offense to defense on regulatory compliance. Like at the CFPB, we've made a lot of gains on process elements like advisory opinions, no action letters. I think that this administration will walk back once they get personnel in place at the Bureau. Rule changes will tighten, not loosen the existing requirements. And it may be a little harder to come by some of the guidance that we've hoped to be helpful, like loan officer compensation or guidance on MSAs. I think you're going to see overall at all regulators for financial services and housing a shift towards enforcement over supervision to try to send signals out of the box that there's a little bit tighter approach that's going to be taken. Send some signals, more work with attorneys generals at the state level in coordination with the feds and more coordination with inspectors general. But I do think there'll be some opportunities, for example, on affordable housing and opening up the credit access box, particularly for the low to moderate income cohort. I think you'll see FHA, the Bureau, other regulators, really try to make some changes that will allow sustainable access in a little wider fashion for folks that may have been left behind during the last 4 years of recovery. So those are some macro themes, that I think we'll see pretty early on.
Bill, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate your insight. And let me congratulate you on what Congress just passed, making sure that MBA's priorities were really front and center. Thanks again, and we appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Rob.